Live's MIDI tracks, clips, and instruments offer a world full of exciting creative possibilities. While Live easily handles basic MIDI operation, it also offers powerful and flexible routing and effect options for advanced applications. To begin this tutorial, I will drag a previously made MIDI clip into my set. Notice that launching this clip will not produce any sound. MIDI signals, much like written scores, represent music in the form of symbols or notes. We will need to add an instrument in order to hear the musical information contained in this MIDI file. Lucky for us, Live 4 comes with two built-in software instruments accessible from Live's device browser. Adding Live's simpler instrument is as easy as dragging it into the same track as the MIDI clip. Notice that I cannot drag a MIDI instrument or MIDI effect onto an audio track. Audio tracks are reserved only for loops, samples, and audio recordings, and cannot allow MIDI of any kind. Next, I will choose a factory preset called Allison from Simpler's Preset Recall button. You can of course choose any preset you like or even make your own. In fact, Simpler is a sampling instrument capable of producing a large variety of sounds from whatever sample you drop into it. You can then manipulate these sounds using Simpler's controls and even store your own presets. Now that we are hearing our MIDI file, let's take a look at the signal displayed in track view. You can see the MIDI meter on Simpler's left-hand side flash as MIDI notes come in from the MIDI clip, as well as the audio meter to the right of Simpler displaying the audio level generated. To take a look at the MIDI clip, simply double-click to replace the track view with Live's clip view. You can toggle between these views by holding down Shift and pressing the Tab key. Looking at clip view, you can now see the clip's MIDI notes in this area. The velocities or intensities in this lower region here. This view offers comprehensive drawing and editing options for MIDI notes, which are presented in the reference manual's Editing MIDI Notes and Velocities chapter. Note you can access Live's manual at any time via the Help menu. To spice up this MIDI performance, I'm going to add one of Live 4's new MIDI effects from the device browser. MIDI effects are always inserted before the virtual instruments, in this case Simpler. This is because MIDI effects process the MIDI signal prior to transforming it into sound. Live does this for you automatically. I now select the preset called Major to add a major chord effect to my melody. The chord MIDI effect turns single notes into chords. To ensure these notes fit within a given scale, I will now add Live's Scale effect. Live's Scale MIDI effect remaps incoming notes onto a user-definable scale. The scale preset C major, for instance, will force incoming notes to adhere to a C major scale. For more fun, I will insert Live's random MIDI effect between chord and scale and select the preset Low Oct. Of course, you can add as many effects as you like and easily change the order of the effect chain via drag and drop. You can also add audio effects to any MIDI track with an instrument. For instance, here is Live's chorus effect. Notice the audio effect always comes after the virtual instrument. I can also delete any effect from the chain by selecting the effect and pressing the delete key. You can also use any third-party effect or instrument so long as it is VST or audio unit format. In addition to virtual instrument hosting, Live 4 also features a new flexible audio and MIDI routing scheme. One possible routing application would be to layer two or more virtual instruments. For example, we might want to add a percussive attack sound to a sustained pad sound by linking two different Simpler instruments. To do this, I drag a second Simpler instrument into the empty region at the right. Notice an empty MIDI track is instantly created. I will then select the Simpler preset named Clicky. Next, I will set track 2 to tap the MIDI signal from track 1 so the same playback instructions reach both Simpler instruments. In this case, I will need to activate the empty track's monitoring since there is no active clip on this track to monitor. For more information on routing, please check out the reference manual's Routing and I/O chapter. You can also choose Creating Patterns from Live's Help menu to tell you how to create and record your own patterns and MIDI loops.